Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie Saint-Julien, and welcome to The Sip. Welcome, everyone, to a blend of engaging conversation over a cup of tea. Today's episode is brought to you by Ether Herbs, and the blend in my cup is chamomile and nettle. Let's talk a little bit about that. Today's tea blend is brought to you by Ether Herbs, and I'm drinking in my cup chamomile and nettle. Now, chamomile by itself is my favorite go-to tea. I can drink it any time of the day. It helps with anxiety and stress, which I have enough of every day. It's also a great calmative, so mostly I have it at night, right before I go to bed for a good night's rest. It's a great aid for digestion. So after dinner, chamomile tea by itself with a little bit of honey or whatever you like to sweeten with, maybe some lemon and some sugar, but stay away from the sugar. I'd rather do some raw honey and just add that in your cup and have a good night's rest. DM at Ether Herbs for more tea blends. These teas will be featured on The Sip. Get ready to sip some more. Boom. The topic that I prepared for you today is Know Thyself. So let me backtrack a little bit. This is the first episode, y'all, the first official episode, and I'm so happy to have everyone here. We're going to talk, we're going to sip, we're going to comment, and after this, we're going live. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. After this episode, we're going live right here, and I want to hear from you about what we talked about today. Oh, and it's going to be good. The only rule I have for your participation is honesty. That's all you have to be. Keep it real, keep it 1,000, and you can be a part of this show. We are going to be truthful. This is an adult content show. Kids, it's time for you to go to bed. We're going to get down to the truth of the matter of a lot of topics. So know thyself is the topic for today's show. But I did mention that no topic is off the table. Now, before we get deep into knowing thyself and what that means, I really need to let y'all know something. I'm going to always keep it real. So personally, I had a little shift in turn this week. It kind of diverted me off topic, but I'm going to make it relate because it is about knowing who I am. I had to check myself, and because I know who I am, I was able to really talk myself out of a situation that could have gotten worse than what it was. So what am I talking about, right? I was tested. How many of you all have ever been tested? Right? You're having a conversation with someone and you know you're anticipating for this conversation to go well. This is your hope, right? But it doesn't. And it quickly shifts and goes from 0 to 1,000 very quickly. So for people who are not used to dealing with conflict or who just don't like confrontation, it could be a little nerve-wracking. And if you're not prepared, okay, when the unexpected happens, it's hard to really adjust yourself, especially in a professional environment. You're probably wondering what I'm alluding to. I'll get to the bottom of it. I'm an artist, I'm a creative, and like many artists who are developing and growing and still honing their craft, we have to survive. So I have another job. I wear other hats. In this other capacity, I am in a position where it's customer facing. And I had a customer reach out that wanted to have a situation resolved. It's my job and my position to bring things to a good ending. And so in my attempt to do so, I had a little bit of pushback. And quickly the conversation went from 0 to 1,000. The reason being, and this is why I was able to check myself, I know that when I go into a situation and I want to talk to somebody or if I want to get something from somebody, you already have your plan set up, right? You want to get an answer. You want to get a yes from somebody. Maybe you're going to ask your boss for a raise. You already know how you're going to get started because you want to start with I've been here long enough. I've been showing my, performance, and I think it's time for me to be, recognized for whatever it is. You plan. You know what it is. When you want to get something out of somebody, you already know what you're going to say because that's what you want. And most of the time, it goes your way. But when it doesn't, are you prepared? Are you prepared for what the outcome might be and what your backup plan is going to be? So what happened was this customer reached out to get satisfaction on her end, and it didn't go that way, but I was providing the best service to her that I possibly could, and it didn't go her way. So it quickly went from 0 to 1,000, and I had somebody screaming on the other end of the phone, singing all kinds of expletives and just speaking at an octave higher than what I wanted to hear. And I decided to check myself because I know myself. She could either have a conversation with Leslie, the professional customer agent on that line, or she can have a conversation with Leslie from the block, and we can have a different conversation that way. But I didn't want to lose my job because we got to pay bills, right? So also, besides the job, you have to be able to control your environment. And knowing yourself will help you lead such a more fulfilling life. When you can control your narrative, you can control the outcomes of the situations that you get involved in. I didn't let this person get me to 1,000. Remember, I said it went from 0 to 1,000 for that person. I stayed calm, I stayed zen, and I let her spit out, but I just didn't receive. I had my wall up. It wasn't about to affect me, and I politely ended the call professionally. I want to talk about knowing thyself. What does this mean? How often do we rediscover ourselves? You cannot possibly tell me that today you are the same person that you were a year ago. And I'll only go as far back as a year. Some people are the same from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. You all are the ones I'm worried about. I'm doing this talk today because I think it's very important to really evolve. I think it's necessary. Now, let me preface everything that I'm saying today on this show with this. I am not an expert. I do not claim to be. I can only speak from the experiences that have happened to me. And I'm just here to share them with you because I know I'm not alone out there. And there might be someone who can relate to what I've been through. And I hope that you will learn something. And most importantly, I hope that you will grow from what it is that you learned from me today. Okay, so let's get back to knowing thyself. I spent a lot of time alone in my growing. Okay, I'm a woman of a certain age. I did say this is an adult show. We're not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm old enough to have now become the woman that you see before you, and that is wise. I'm choking up, y'all. We're keeping it real. Nothing's off the table. But I have finally acquired my wisdom. Yes, and I couldn't wait for this moment. It has hit me, but it took some time to get here. It meant allowing yourself to be hurt, allowing yourself to be broken, allowing for pain to endure, however, not last. You have to be able to pick yourself up, and only you can do that. I have learned that it is not fair to make somebody else responsible for your healing or for your pain. And if you know yourself well enough, then you know how you got into a situation, and the way you got in, you can get yourself out. Only you can do that. To live a self-fulfilling life, you have to know what makes you upset, what makes you happy, what your favorite things are to do, what are your passions, what are your wants and your desires, what is your purpose. That's a discovery that is hard to arrive to. There are people that are still trying to figure out what their purpose is. They're 50, 60, 70 years old. That's okay. Keep searching. That's my message to you. It is okay. And if you have more than one gift, or desire, you may have more than one purpose. Again, I'm not an expert, okay? But I am here to tell you it is possible to have more than one purpose. But you need to spend time with yourself in order to figure that out. You can't be afraid to be alone. You can't be afraid to be alone with your thoughts. And you can't be afraid to try something different. So let's take a break. And when we come back, get ready to sip on something real good. Boom. Welcome back. And I'm still drinking my chamomile and nettle. I want to talk about self-awareness. Now, when I was on this phone call that I was talking about with this customer, and she was getting very upset and irate, I was aware that inside I was also getting upset and irate, but I didn't let that show. I was aware of myself and my emotions and my feelings, and I was able to control how I would react. So when we come into a situation where we're being tested in life, whether it's people or situations, it's important to take a moment to breathe. Never forget breathing. And really assess what's going on around you. I know it's easier said than done, but it takes practice. I have not always been this way. I have been reactive. You go high, I'm going high. You go low, I'm going low. You explode, I'm going to explode. I used to be that way. Or I was shut down. Shutting down is probably one of the worst things to do because you don't ever deal with the moment and it could explode. And it could just be really bad for you. And I think it's important to always deal and close out. You deal and close out and you move on. This is growth. Now, I was talking about earlier about being almost impossible to be the same person that you were a year ago or 5 years ago. Though there are people walking around that are the same and just refuse, and they are resistant to change. I must say, these people are suffering. It's going to sound mean. I have a lot of friends and family watching this right now. Some of them are you. Some of them are not you. But if you know somebody who's like this, please share this video with them. Suffering in silence means you're holding on to some stuff that you need to let go. It's time to unpack. It's time to put away. And it's time to refill your suitcase with some newness, with some better things. Only you can do that. Only you know yourself. This is what self-awareness is to me. Please feel free to comment below and tell me what your definition of self-awareness is. For me, it is being cognizant of your surroundings and knowing when you are triggered. And when you are triggered, you have to have a plan in place to cope because a trigger can happen at any place, any given time. I've been in a mall. I've been at the grocery store, and a visual of something could take me to a place that I thought I left and buried years ago. And all of a sudden you feel that frog in your throat. You know, maybe it's a child being born or in a movie scene or whatever it is. There's always a trigger. There's something that brings us back to a place that we've buried. But when it triggers us, and it triggers us and it still affects us in the same way that it did, then we never dealt with it. You have to deal with it. So knowing thyself is being honest with yourself, being true, not only in private, but in public. The person I am when this camera turns off is the same person that's going to be sitting right here. I promise you that. So I sip from my cup and I'm going to sip to that everything I say will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We'll be right back. Boom. Now, we have changed seasons and we're in the spring, and some of you might be affected by the allergy season. You have itchy and watery eyes, and maybe you're having some trouble breathing. Well, nettle is a great herb to aid in that. Add a little nettle, blend it with the chamomile, and you have a perfect dose of goodness. So let me show you these teas though. The herb for chamomile is a little bit yellow, it's fluffy, it's pretty. You can find this in any of your natural herbal food stores. And nettle, now we have two kinds. We have nettle root, which is more woody and straight like sticks. And then we have the nettle herb, which is a darker green and more loose. I have the nettle herb in my tea mixed with the chamomile. Please follow at Eat the Herbs for more information. He is the guru of blends, Steve Azor. DM at Eat the Herbs for more tea blends. These teas will be featured on the sip. Get ready to sip some more. Boom! Welcome back, everybody. I'm so glad you joined me today. Please join in right after this. We're going to go live and we're going to have cup talk. I want to get deeper and I definitely want to have real dialogue with real people. So I wanted to put my message out there about the importance of knowing thyself. You really have to spend time with yourself to know who you are. Don't let anybody identify you. You identify yourself. Don't let anyone qualify you. You qualify yourself. If there's something that you're lacking, then go out there and get it. Get the tools, get the certifications, get the training, whatever it is that you need. If there's something that you passionately want to do and you're not prepared yet to do it, find out what it takes. You want to be a writer? Learn how to write. You want to take English classes, take structure, like practice. Get some training. Whatever it is that you're chasing in life, you can do it. You're not too old. You're not too young. You're not too late. You're not too early. You can do whatever you want whenever you are ready. You have control of your life. I want to motivate you. I want to encourage you to be the best version of you. And that version is the real you. This is where we have engaging conversation over a cup of tea. Until next time, sip on this. How would you want to be remembered when you're gone? We'll talk about that next time.